What's up, everyone? It's the Casual Cube, and I'm going to be doing a video over my monthly Friday Night Magic battle report, where I, showcase what I'm playing week to week, as well as, displaying my local meta out here on the front lines, just at my local game store. I've only gone to my main local game store. I haven't actually gone to a standard showdown just yet because I've kind of lost my Saturdays. And I have to schedule if I want to do something on a Saturday, ahead of time. And I think the only thing I really want to schedule for is Pauper, because I think I could do without Standard Showdown because I play Friday Night Magic. But Standard Showdown is obviously more competitive. It's probably a better representation of a competitive meta at FNM right now. We have quite a few spicy decks. I've actually seen the Arcades. There's an Arcades deck running around. He wasn't in my week 5 meta, but I saw him in week 4 and I didn't play him, but I saw that deck running around. So a ton of variety in the meta right now. I actually think mono red has gone away, which is really interesting because there was a few mono red pilots early on, and now they're all kind of like switched to other things. Like one switched to this Jund list, and another, she switched to Rakdos Midrange, and she was actually previously in the previous meta, she was a Rakdos burn player with, risk factor as well as sword point diplomacy, so now she's playing just a Rakdos Midrange. I don't think she's playing the aggro anymore, or the burn style, because I think after sideboards, a lot of people are, they're well adapted to the burn right now. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff going on this past weekend too. Like I really want to be getting these videos out on Mondays. And I know it's Tuesday right now, so you're probably going to be seeing this video, released on Tuesday evening. But there's a ton of stuff this past weekend. Like on Sunday, of course, the Mythic Championship, the last day, Mono Blue was piloted to victory, to first place by Autumn Burchett. So congratulations to them, I think. Yeah, to them. And we also saw Mono Blue Tempo and Reed Duke, who got, I think, 3rd or 4th place. So I wonder if that's going to affect my local meta, Mono Blue, because yeah, I mean it's definitely a well-proven deck now. It's going to be, I wonder, because right now we only have one player, Rick, actually. I've thrown his name out here on the channel a few times. I've actually gotten to know him a little bit. Yeah, he's the only one playing Mono Blue Tempo right now. So I wonder if if I'm going to be seeing more Mono Blue in my local meta for Friday Night Magic. But also previously he was playing like the spicy mono. He was playing the monochromatic black with Lich's Mastery and Banefire. So now he's playing the mono blue, so it's interesting how everyone's playing different decks. They have their go-to and then like a backup, or the meta changes and everyone switches a deck or whatever. And me, I'm just trying to play something new almost every week. I'm actually playing, as you'll see here, I've actually played a bunch of these decks in the previous meta in Guilds of Ravnica. Also, of course everything's timestamped, so if you want to skip around, go ahead. But I just want to take a few minutes just going over the other things that were going on this past Sunday, because not only was the Mythic Championship going on, but there was like competitive FIFA, and competitive Super Smash Bros. Ultimate and CS:GO, and there's so much good stuff going on. And I had like 3 screens going on. I had my laptop, my phone, and my TV, all like showcasing different things. And I was also watching I know this is kind of like completely unrelated to competitive esports or whatever, but I was actually watching this new league. It's a developmental league for American football, and it's called the Alliance of American Football. And I find it really interesting because pretty much every secondary American football league has always failed, like the XFL and all these different essentially startups where they try to be a developmental league, a secondary league for the NFL. They've all pretty much gone bankrupt. So I wonder how this one's gonna do. And also, they just got a $250 million investment from I think the Carolina Hurricanes NHL sports owner. He just threw in a huge investment, but I wonder if the league's going to survive after the first year. So there's like all this drama, as well as, of course, all the players who can't make it to the NFL. They're now all playing in this secondary league. So I wonder if some certain names are going to make it to get back to the next level, because a lot of these guys they're like outcast, or they're trying to get a second chance to get to the NFL. So there's just so much drama, and also, the natural curiosity of seeing if this is going to be a big dumpster fire in the end, if they're just burning money, or if they can actually sustain themselves and actually be something that's a decent product. And from what I've seen, I think it's fun. Seeing all this secondary football. I like football. So, but pretty much every sport has like they have the top tier, and then they have like the tier below. Like over in Europe they have the Champions League, as well as the Europa League, or even if in the United Kingdom they have the Premier League, as well as the Championship. Baseball over here in America, we have, of course, the Major League Baseball, as well as the farm system, the secondary baseball teams, and basketball has the D League. So it's interesting how the NFL, for American football, they've all, like the secondary leagues, every single one of them has not panned out well. Also, I think it's partially because the NFL hasn't actually poured in their own money into it. So it's going to be interesting if like this new Alliance of American Football gets bought out by the NFL. So yeah, a ton of going on like this past weekend. Not only was that going on, but all the esports, FIFA, CS:GO. I was even watching a little bit of League. I don't really watch League too much. I mainly watch Dota. So there's so much esports going on. And congratulations to everyone, all the winners. Autumn for the Mythic Championship. I think this like 17-year-old kid named Tex, Tekkz. He won the FIFA Championship. And I find FIFA really interesting because last year he actually lost the Grand Championship, because you can win the Xbox as well as the PlayStation 4. There's like two different champion brackets, and you can win one of those consoles, and then you get pitted against the other in like this Grand Championship, and you also had to play on the other system. So it's interesting that you had to practice. It is like, I don't think any other esport has that dynamic, so I find that interesting. So this young kid, 17-year-old kid, he lost that Grand Championship last year, and he won this one this year. His home console is Xbox, and like it was just really fun to watch. And PS4, like he was playing on the PS4, he got the victory. So he's 17 years old, and he's already making a big name for himself. And also in Super Smash Brothers Ultimate, I think like this guy named Tweak, I think. He was playing different characters too. He was playing like Wario, and I forgot what his other character was. But yeah, it's just really fun seeing where esports is at right now. There's a ton of entertainment now online that you can just access for free because of all these competitors. So I wonder how that's going to translate for MTG Arena. It's going to be really fun watching the next frontier of what that's going to be. But anyways, I'm going on this huge tangent. I'm sorry. But yeah, I know everything's timestamped. So chances are if you didn't want to hear any of that, you probably already skipped it. So, but yeah, let's move on. All right, so for week 1, I wanted to bring something that I was confident in. I've had good results with mono black control from the previous meta. As a matter of fact, going into Ravnica Allegiance, I was just using the exact same deck list that I was using before. And looking back in hindsight, I think I would, obviously take away the, Phyrexian Scriptures for Ritual of Suit, simply because, there's a lot of enchantment hate right now with Mortify, and after sideboards, there's Knight of Autumns that I've been seeing a lot in my meta. So, but overall, it was just a very standard mono black control list, a lot of removal. Also, I've had a lot of ways to deal with Planeswalkers and Elders Reborn. And, even after sideboards, things like Duress and Pilfering Imp really helped against control decks. So, I just felt really good, really confident with, mono black control going into week 1. So round 1 was a budget Is It Drake's deck, and I wanted to mention the Enter the Battlefield tapped lands in Is It Goldgate and Highland Lake, just to showcase that it was a budget deck, because he didn't curve out some turns. Just wanted to mention that it's kind of clunky sometimes, but yeah, very standard list with Electromancers and both the Drakes. He had the Shocks, Lightning Strikes, and Beacon Bolts. And he even won a game out of nowhere with a maximized velocity. So, And yeah, he even main decked a Roll Is It Viceroy, and I wonder if they're going to reprint Roll Is It Viceroy in the Challenger decks. I have a feeling they might, because they did it with Chandra before. So um, I think Is It Drake's is probably your best bang for your buck deck, budget deck. If you're have a brand new friend or you're new yourself to the game, I think Is It Drake's is the way to go. But I would wait until, just to confirm, because a lot of people have been speculating that Is It Drake's most likely is one of the Challenger decks, simply because, it's been proven in the previous meta, and it's just also a very fun deck and has its own personality. So, yeah, I would wait until the Challenger decks. But overall, had a good experience against the deck with a bunch of removal spells. Just take out all their Drakes, go 1-for-1, and then have some board clears. Mono white, again, board clears really proved well. Golden Demises handled the Adonal Vanguards. The Conclave Tribunals did screw me over one time. He did win a game out of nowhere with Pride of Conquerors. He just curved out really well. He's, the kid's also part of the middle school crew that's at the local game store. I'm my main one. And he didn't have the history of Benalias, unfortunately, but yeah, mono white aggro, proven archetype. Wasn't surprised to see it in week 1. And not week 3, round 3 was a very refined Selesnya tokens deck. Even saw Shanna to say his legacy. I mean, she was doing work in my games that I was going against, because she would just become ginormous. I mean, it was insane. But yeah, this deck list was really refined. Martial Multitude, Tristani Discordant, and all the token generators. Venerated Loxodon, and of course Conclave Tribunal. Just a really well refined strategy, a proven strategy. So yeah, I wasn't surprised to lose to this one. I've actually been having a lot of trouble with Selesnya tokens, just in general. But anyways, moving on into Bant Reclamation. So this guy, in my DCI record, he gave me the win in game 3. We were tied 1-1 going into game 3. We went into time. We only had like 10 minutes left, and then went into turn 0, and he just decided to give me the win because if we were to tie, we would both be 2-1-1 at this stage, at the end of the night, and that's the same thing as going like 2-2 or 0-4. 2-1-1 gets 2 booster packs either way. So by him conceding, he gets 2 booster packs, and I go 3-1, and I get 4 booster packs and the FNM promo. So I decided to split the booster packs, give him one of the booster packs, but I kept the FNM promo. I got to light up the stage. And the reason being is because this guy, he's a spiky player, and as you can see in this deck list, I mean he has the cash for a good deck. So I'm gonna take if he's gonna gift it to me, I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna take the FNM promo for sure, because this guy, he went the next 3 weeks he got FNM promos. So yeah, every time he shows up, usually he's up there in the final tables. So but yeah, he was really nice about it. And yeah, it was just, we weren't even close to finishing the last game, game 3, so he just conceded, and yeah, I'll take the FNM promo, man. Thanks, dude. Yeah, week 2, I had to miss it, unfortunately. You don't want to miss, these fresh weeks of a brand new meta, because it's just, at least at FNM, at your local game store, everyone has their own personality, and everyone, it's a brand new, fresh meta. Everything's wide open. And yeah, you can win with a bunch of different decks. So, suck that I missed week 2, but week 3, I brought my Golgari Graveyard deck. This is a Planeswalker deck challenge, so if you don't know what that is, essentially, I like to collect the Planeswalker decks and try to improve them on the kitchen table, and then I try to do that and bring it to an FNM. Previously, my first 2 tries with Vraska, Regal, Gorgon, I was using just a very below average mid-range style of a deck, and yeah, I was doing a little bit of net decking, and I actually saw a 5-0 Golgari Graveyard from the previous meta, and it went 5-0 on MTG Go, and I was looking at an MTG Goldfish, did a little bit of net decking, so decided to go with the Molder Hulk Memorial to Folly, grind them out, late game strategy with the infinite value. Memorial to Folly, bring back your Molder Hulk. Molder Hulk brings back your Memorial to Folly. In the meantime, though, in the early game, I had Knight of Malice, Gullspore Shamans to get stuff in the graveyard. I only had 1 Stitcher Supplier that I opened in a booster pack, so I wasn't relying on that card. It's like $1 for that card, and I just think that I wanted to stay under budget, so I just felt like I didn't need it, a full playset of those. District Guides really helped out just to get stuff in the graveyard, trade into stuff, as well as get that value of drawing a land, because as you can see here, we need to get to Vraska, 7 mana, which, Vraska, destroy target creature for a Planeswalker deck, not that bad. She can actually influence the board, so, but yeah, have a 1 of the Zoning Thousand Eyed. So, moving on into round 1, very standard mono red burn deck. This one, I had great success, with Molder Hulk in game 1, just he couldn't get through it. Well, she couldn't get through it. Sorry. And game two, I sideboarded in the Crawl Foragers, so just get that life gain, and yeah, I mean it was just a really easy matchup for me at least. And also the tutor that tutors up Vraska Stoneglare. It actually heals you based on the damage that you deal, based on the creature's toughness. So I destroyed an electrostatic field and got 4 health back. So yeah, I mean that was the one time where the health actually kind of helped. But yeah, this one is just a brand new player with the Domri City Smasher. This was more or less a stock list except for the Rubble Belt Runner, and I mentioned that because I actually looked it up and I was like, because like turn 2 it was a Zertal Goblin, and then turn 3 it was a Rubble Belt Runner. I was like, what the heck is this? And then I realized the guy's new, and you feel bad, but every now and then someone will bring a more or less stock Planeswalker deck, and even though I was doing the Planeswalker deck challenge, my deck was obviously more improved, but at the same time you kind of feel bad for the guy, but because you want to kind of help him, kind of steer him in the right direction, but you don't want to be like too I don't know, like hands-on and be like, oh yeah, you need to do this, you need to do that. So yeah, I mean, you kind of try and steer him a little bit, like the Rage Fires, you kind of say, oh yeah, you need some Lightning Strikes. So, but actually looking at this right now, I'm thinking like, well, the Glass of the Guild pack, because I was looking at the deck list, and because I'm probably going to do another Planeswalker deck challenge with Domri City Smasher. I do want to finish Raw Caller of Storms though first, I think. But this one's really interesting because Glass of the Guild pack, and look at all these gold cards. I mean, it'd be kind of fun to tinker around with Glass of the Guild pack in this Planeswalker deck challenge. So, yeah, just actually kind of inspired me. So, moving on to round 3. This one was weird. It was a white weenie, but it didn't have Deputy of Detention, which if you're going to splash the blue, when you want Deputy of Detention, that's just me though, but the guy, after sideboards, he mainly does it for the negates. And he also had the Takali Honor Guards, so after sideboards, the deck was a little bit different, but more or less a stock list: Benelish Marshals, History Benelias, Adana Vanguard, Venerated Loxodon, Conclave Tribunals. Very basic mono white list, just a little bit splash blue. But I just found it really odd that he didn't have Deputy of Detention, because I think if you're gonna splash the blue, that's one of the key cards, right? Am I right? Or I don't know. Maybe there's some reasoning because it's temporary. It's a creature, 3 toughness isn't that lot, so maybe it gets lightning striked or what have you, or Wizard's Lightning, or I don't know what their reasoning was, but I feel like if you're gonna splash the blue, Deputy to Detention. I don't know, that's just me though. I'm sure there's some valid reasoning for not doing Deputy to Detention, but oh yeah, and again, Selesnya tokens. I'm just losing to Selesnya tokens. It's just I think like the Selesnya tokens list, it's just strong, really well refined, and yeah, I gotta take my beats or try and find a way to from the sideboard, I guess. I don't know. I just gotta think of a solution for the Selesnya tokens. So, oh, I do need more Find Finalities. That's what I need. I only had 1 Find and 1 Finality. So, yeah, definitely gotta get more copies of that card. Yeah. And for week 4, I brought my mono white historic mid-range, Legends deck. It's kind of like a Traxos, trying to untap it, using a bunch of legendary creatures, artifacts, and I don't think I have any sagas. I think I have sagas from the sideboard, but not in the main deck. But anyways, it's kind of a fun mid-range deck. I kind of went with more Healer's Hawk this time, so a little bit more aggro. I think that might have been a mistake just because Healer's Hawk doesn't actually trigger the historic, and I don't know if the deck needs to be more aggressive. I actually think it needs doing a little bit more research. I actually might tinker around with more Benelish Marshals as well as Maverin Fane and other legendary creatures, so just might make it a little bit more mid-range as opposed to a little bit more aggro. And also, I think I had a little bit too much, 4 drops, and maybe take away one Urza's Ruinous Blast. But yeah, I'm still kind of, it's just a fun budget deck that I like playing on the kitchen table, and it didn't get a good result, but it was still fun to play. So, and I think I can tinker around with it a little bit more. But anyways, yeah, round 1 was Teamer Reclamation. I actually beat this deck. This one was, the Growth Spiral with Wilderness Reclamation, some removal and Lightning Strikes and Lava Coils. It did have Search for Scanta. It didn't main deck the Atsacan Archer. That was from the sideboard. I just wanted to mention that. But yeah, the win condition was Expansion Explosion. So like a big explosion, with the Wilderness Reclamation, you can untap your lands, float the mana, and then, float the mana, untap your lands, and then, tap your mana again. And then you just get a ginormous explosion. But in the meantime, it was trying to, draw your cards, establish your land base with Growth Spiral. And then there was even Precognitive Perception, which, I didn't actually, I was actually kind of surprised because, I don't know, I just didn't think that was a, 5 mana, but, I guess I'm wrong because I guess, you do get a Scry 3 if you do it on your main step, but I don't know, I just felt like it was kind of, it's a big cost, but at the same time, you are trying to get there with your explosion, so you do need to dig for that, and maybe the scry is worth it, so maybe I'm wrong on that, I don't know. And also, I don't know like the exact ratios, how many copies they were running, but yeah, I was able to beat that deck. This deck I was not able to beat, so this was, the Bant Reclamation deck. Again, the guy's a beast. Yeah, I think it was pretty much the same deck list from before, but this one also had the Cleansing Novas, and I don't know if they were in the the first time I played him, but yeah, just really really strong, just really really strong Bant Reclamation. I was I don't think he had the full playset of Hydroid Crazies, but I might be wrong about that. But yeah, I was really surprised to just get the lockdown with the Deputy of Detention as well as the Frilled Mystics. The Frilled Mystics are pretty good. Just saying. You get that counter as well as a 3/2 body. So, and also I think I got hit with a Settle the Wreckage. Like it was a turn where I shouldn't have. I should have noticed that he had the 2 white, and I should have not attacked with everything, just attacked with a few things. But anyways, yeah, this one was a really spicy deck, the Mardu aggro list. So this one went down. There's a big game 3, and it was going down to the wire. It was another one of those games. But this deck list was just ridiculous. It was just, once it got going, it gets going. And, yeah, the Heroic Reinforcements in particular with all of these crazy stuff like Hero of Precinct 1 and the Judith, good removal suite and Mortifying Conclave Tribunals. So, I wasn't surprised to lose to this deck. And, yeah, sometimes you win some, sometimes you lose some. But, yeah, I remember this one was going down to game 3. And there was, I don't think I could have won, but yeah, I wasn't. Yeah, I need to write more detailed notes because I'm just like jotting down. I'm not doing as in depth like I was on my phone just because I'm doing it on pen and paper now. So I'm kind of just but I do remember like this one key moment in game 3 that I might have screwed up on, and he got me on the backswing with like a Heroic Reinforcements. So. Maybe I think I should have left up a blocker or something. I don't remember, and I think I need to write that down next time. I think I'm gonna do that in the future. Just write down the key turns, I guess. But anyways, this one was really sweet. So this girl is actually a judge, and she works at the game store. And now she has her Fridays off. I think she's working Saturdays now or something. I don't know. But now she's playing at FNMs because before she was doing all the signups. But anyways. Yeah, this one is super spicy. It's the Fall of the Thran with the Phyrexian Scriptures. So you Phyrexian Scriptures put a +1 counter on one of your creatures, and then on the chapter 2, you destroy all non-artifact creatures, and then you play Fall of the Thran, destroy all lands, and that's on the second chapter of Phyrexian Scriptures when you play Fall of the Thran. And then on the next turn, on your next turn after your draw step, Phyrexian Scriptures triggers again on the third chapter, exile all cards from your opponent's graveyard. So now you exile all of their creatures, all of their lands, and it's just really spicy. So But yeah, also used Ruinous Blast. She only uses 2, and I used 3 in my Traxos deck, so I don't know, I might go down to only 2 copies, leave that one in the sideboard. But she was actually using Squee, which I saw Squee do a lot of work against another control deck. It was just a really persistent, I think it was like Esper Control that she beat with the Squee. I remember, like, yeah, it was just funny seeing Squee do work against the Esper Control. But actually, what really screwed me over was the Vona. Vona is kind of a sleeper, I think. Just the vigilance, and then after you attack, you get the life. After you attack, and then you can pay the 7, tap it, and then pay the 7, and you can destroy target non-land permanent. So really, really cool seeing Vona, and she actually, Vona. I think Vona is a girl. I guess maybe not. Maybe Vona is a dude. I can't really tell in that picture. But yeah, it's just a very good creature. And then of course, Mortify. Even Captain Lannery Storm was, getting those treasures was actually really worth it to ramp out into, like a Vona, for instance. And also the Karns were, just another draw engine in the deck. So very spicy list. And week 5, I brought, a mono green list. So previously I had a mono green, like, magical Christmas land deck using Kamal's Druidic Vow. Very, very low percentage to ever pull off the combo, but still, if there's a chance, you're telling me there's a chance. But anyways, like, I wanted to use Steel Leaf Champion just before it rotates out because, 3 mana for a 5/4 is pretty nice, and I just wanted to, have another go at it, playing mono green. Because, turn 1, Llanowar Elves into turn 2, Forest, Steel Leaf Champion. That's a really strong play, and I don't know if it's the strongest in this meta now. I think the strongest play is, mono blue, play a 1-drop, and then Curious Obsession. But, Llanowar Elves into Steel Leaf Champion is up there as far as power level, as far as, like, what's the best, turn 1, turn 2, I think. But another thing that I wanted to do was use Vinemare with Blanchwood Armor. So Blanchwood Armor gives you, because I'm playing mono green, and it gives you +1/+1 for each forest you have. So obviously, if you can get good hexproof creatures like a Vinemare, a 4-mana 5/3 has hexproof, slap on a Blanchwood Armor. But I want another target. You don't just you can't rely on just 4 Vinemares. So I thought, why not just throw in these other another hexproof green creature in Jungleborn Pioneer. It gives you a 2/2, and then you get a 1/1 Bogle token, essentially. It's a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token with hexproof, so just another target to slap on Blanchwood Armor. So I kind of went down this weird, like, token strategy after I thought of the Jungleborn Pioneer, because after I was looking at other hexproof creatures, I was like, all right, well, I'm going to go tokens now. So I went with, the Siege Worm, and I was like, all right, how am I going to make Siege Worm work? And then I decided to go with the Sapperling Migration and the Spore Crown Thallid and the Yavimaya Sapherd as another sub-theme. So a lot going on in this deck. It's very linear, just play all the stuff and, try and curve out into a Siege Worm. Because I think you can do like a turn 2 Sapperling, turn 3 Yavimaya, and then turn 4 Siege Worm. Because, you get 2, that's 4. Yeah, it brings it down to, 3. The point was just to try and ramp out a Siege Worm. But, the power level of this deck, it's probably just better off to go with a mono green Stompy, and go with like a Crawl Harpooner. I had 2 in the sideboard. I think get a full play set in the main deck. And also Thrashing Bronodon. I think Thrashing Bronodon is good enough to main deck as well. I was putting it in the sideboard, so. This Mardu Legends combo deck, she got me again. It was just brutal with the Phyrexian Scriptures, I think, is what I had trouble with. Also, my deck was a tokens list, so any kind of board wipe is going to completely screw over my strategy because I'm trying to flood out, just empty out my hand with all my creatures. So, again, my deck isn't a lot of interactive stuff. It's just trying to beat your opponent down, face smash. But this one was a super spicy deck list. I think this one's up there with the Mardu Legends combo with the Fall of Thran list because, just look at this list. You never expect to see Jaylight Ranger with Priest of the Forgotten Gods. As a matter of fact, that was like one of the turns it was like Priest of the Forgotten Gods. Okay, like that's kind of interesting. But then you see Jaylet Ranger, and you're like, what in the world is this deck? You know. So it also had Legion War Boss too. That's another thing that I wanted to show, but I didn't know what to take out because it had some removal and cast down as well as Vraska's Contempt, and it was a main deck Vivian Reed that I faced that really screwed me over. Just getting that value engine going, but yeah, the Seed Gang Commanders were really paying off really well in this deck, and the Rekindling Phoenixes as well. Even with Priest of the Forgotten Gods, just to have another creature to sacrifice and recur. Just a very interesting deck, very very cool, and I got to the top 4 as a matter of fact. So yeah, round 3 was a bye. This was what I was walking around and seeing what people were playing. Mono green tokens, that's what I was rocking, and then my 3 matchups you'll see in my 4th round, it was Orzhov hero deck. But yeah, there's a mono blue tempo, a Boros aggro, Sultai midrange, Groll, Sarkhan's Unsealing, a Rakdos midrange, and a Gate Reclamation, which this one was, I think, 4 colors. It didn't have Nexus of Fate, but it had Gate Colossus as well as Gates Ablaze, and I'm going to assume the one that draws a bunch of cards as well. And then there's this sweet Bant Vanifar deck, Prime Speaker Vanifar, where it used the Augur of, it was like a 4-mana Augur, like it was like a 3/3 Merfolk that lets you draw 3 cards and then put 2 back on top of your deck. Very interesting deck list, and also used Biogenic Ooze too, so very very cool. Like I love seeing this. Like my meta is awesome. I love the deck builders at my local game store on my main one, and yeah, like everyone's playing something different. Everyone has their own personality. The Rakdos midrange girl as well as the Jund midrange tokens. Both of those players were playing mono red earlier in the meta. In the first few weeks. So it's interesting that they changed up. They see mono red as just not very viable right now, and that makes sense. Because after sideboards, a lot of people have stuff for burn. So. Yeah, so round 4 was Orzhov Hero, which is Hero of Precinct 1. Every time you cast a multicolor spell, you create a 1/1 human creature token and just play a bunch of gold cards, right? Imperious Oligarch, Pitiless Pontiff, even Ethereal Absolution, Final Payment Mortify, Seraph of the Scales. So a nice suite of gold cards. But the cool thing is that Vinemare just carried me and was just the anti whatever this deck was, because pretty much all the creatures, even after they die in Administrative Obligation, for instance, they become white and black flying tokens. So they can't block a Vinemare because Vinemare is unblockable by black creatures. So even if you're white and black, it's still a black creature. You can't block Vinemare. So Vinemare carried me in both games. I slapped on I had a Vinemare with Blanchwood Armor in both of my wins. So, and that just carried me to victory because even if you're chump blocking with your white creatures, I mean, this is game over. And yeah, it was really really fun to see my deck just completely demolish this other deck because my first 2 rounds I got demolished myself. So at least my strategy panned out against a deck that has black in it. So. But overall, like my deck wasn't that strong. I think I'm just gonna go with a mono green Stompy with like Pelt Collector, for instance, and Crawl Harpooners. But anyways, so this was our top 4: Rakdos midrange versus Bant Vanifar. I didn't stay to see who won, but this was my top 4. And the Jund Tokens midrange deck versus the mono blue tempo, which was Rick. So not sure who won either or. I just kind of left after, and yeah, I just wanted to mention that these were my the final 4 that were in the last 2 the top end tables. So yeah, that's my FNM monthly battle report. Gonna try and get these out on Mondays, but there's so much going on this past weekend that I just ended up doing all of this on Monday, and yeah, just gonna do the recording here Tuesday evening. But yeah, I mean, it's a great meta right now. Everyone has their own personality, like I said, so really fun playing right now at FNM. And yeah, everyone is kind of I think right now everyone is going on into the future kind of has their own deck that's well established. Going forward, there's probably not going to be a lot of changes, so if I can just keep on bringing something new or bringing something that's like not seen, kind of go with the wild card factor.
No, brakes! Guys, why aren't the brakes working?
Because I cut the brakes! Wild card, bitches! Yeah!
Where they can't really prepare for whatever I'm bringing. I think I'm going to be in a good position. I just like playing that kind of way, like, fighting games, for example. I like playing random characters, just kind of like as a wild card, but this is also fun for me. So, yeah, anyways, that is it. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and yeah, I'm really enjoying this meta. Hope you guys are too. Alright, so I already opened a bunch of booster packs for Magic League, and I kind of recorded them, but I didn't want to show all of them because, well, I got the Hydroid Crisis on camera, but pretty much the only other good thing that I got was Stopping Ground, and I didn't want to, like, have those videos with a bunch of audio noise. But anyways, let's just open these 2 boosters, see if we get anything good. This was from week 5 with the mono green token Vinemere deck. Ooh, we got a foil, I saw. Alright, so let's check out Boom, Collapse, Spewer, Focus. Biogenic, Dovin's Acuity, 10th Street Dodger, cool. Oh man, Mirror Match, 6 mana enchantment. Oh well, that's kind of cool. That might be fun for the cube. Foil Burning Tree. So kind of a whiff right there. Yeah, there actually might be some spicy deck with that 6 mana enchantment, but probably not. Alright. Okay. Oh, nice. Persistent Petitioners. I think those are $1 each right now. Phase, Skitter Eel, Wrecking Beast, Skittle Gator, Romancer, and a Straight. Cool. Could actually use these. Nice. Might make a budget Orzhov tokens. Oh, sweet. Okay. Cool. So, there we go. So I think that's my 3rd Shockland. I got a Azorius one in my pre-release, but yeah, sweet. There you go. So I hit something for my Consolation packs.